Thank you, everybody. This meeting of Ajax Council is being held virtually. This meeting is also being live streamed and may be viewed online at ajax.ca/live. A friendly reminder to all participants to please activate your microphone only when recognized by the chair. To those making submissions as part of a public meeting or during question period, please ensure you clearly state your name. If you decide you no longer wish to speak to an item on the agenda, please leave the virtual meeting and continue watching the live stream on YouTube should you wish to do so. I'll now call this meeting to order. We would like to begin this meeting by acknowledging the land on which we gather is situated within the traditional and treaty territory of the Mississaugas. More specifically, the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, signatories of the Gunshot Treaty of 1788 and the Williams Treaties of 1923. This land is and will continue to be home to the Indigenous peoples. Let us acknowledge the mistakes and traumas of the past through authenticity and support truth and reconciliation. Let us engage and celebrate Indigenous communities by being leaders of action in acknowledging the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples and the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's recommendations towards truth and reconciliation. Let us keep these principles close as we continue towards truth and reconciliation and as we move forward with kindness and respect as a community. So for those who notice, I am not Mayor Collier. Mayor Collier is currently still on the police board, so we'll switch over once he returns. Can I get a mover for the adoption of minutes through show of hands, please? I see Councillor Bauer and Councillor Tyler Morin as seconder. We're going to do both minutes, the regular meeting of April 20th, 2026, and the closed meeting of April 20th, 2026. Seeing nods there. Any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, we'll start the vote. And that passes. Thank you, everyone. Next, we're on to question period. Looking at the clerk, is there anyone from the public who wishes to ask a question? Seeing a shake of head, that is no. We'll move on to number 5, delegations, presentations, and public meetings. Our first delegation is Cynthia Davis, President and CEO of Lakeridge Health. Are you ready to present? And clicking that, and go ahead.
Good afternoon, thank you. I am ready to present, and if somebody could pull up my slide deck, please. As I'm waiting for the slide deck to be shown, I don't know if I'm supposed to be able to see this, Councillor Lee.
We're still waiting to get it hooked up. Give us a very quick second, please.
Okay, so while we're waiting, with your permission, I can get started. So thank you so much for allowing us to present this afternoon. As mentioned, I'm Cindy Davis, President and CEO of Lakeridge Health. I'm also joined by Nancy Shaw, Senior Director of Public Affairs and Strategic Partnerships, as well as Chris Squire, our CFO and Capital Redevelopment for Lakeridge. So as we're waiting for the slides, I also want to take the opportunity to extend my thanks to Mayor Collier, as well as the councillors from Ajax, for all of your support for the Ajax Pickering Hospital, particularly associated with the Ajax Mayor's Gala. This year, we're purchasing automatic drug dispensing units, which is vital pieces of equipment to improve our safety around medication administration. I also want to do one more shout out for Ride for the Ridge, which is our biking event that all the foundations that support Lakeridge Health will be participating in on May the 24th. We're starting at Ajax Downs, and I'm happy to have anybody join my team in this event. Next slide, please. The next slide really talks about Lakeridge Health and the launch of our campaign, More Than a Hospital, This is Lakeridge Health. We talk about the system of care that we're developing throughout the entire Durham region, one that uniquely positions us within Durham, but also within the context of healthcare delivery in Ontario. And you can see on the map, we highlight where we actually have hospital facilities, as well as other locations throughout the Durham region where we provide services. And of particular, I want to highlight the one, Jerry Coughlin Health and Wellness Center, which opened our doors 2 years ago. And this is a center that provides surgical care as well as diagnostics and primary care for Durham region. Since we've opened, we've actually expanded our patient volume by 38% in just 2 years. So this is really helping reduce wait times across the region and helping us leverage more acute and inpatient surgeries at our Ajax Pickering Hospital. It means that we can do more activity and leverage all of the facilities that we have. Next slide, please. We also want to talk about the continued investment at our Ajax Pickering Hospital. In particular, the most recent piece of equipment is a new fluoroscopic machine, which is a type of an advanced X-ray machine that can provide more crisp, clearer images that allow physicians to more fastly and accurately diagnose the images from that have been achieved, and also reducing access and wait time for treatments if they're required. So we continue to build on advancing technology throughout all of Lake Reach Health, and this is another piece of vital equipment in our family of suites that's available at the Ajax Pickering Hospital. Next slide, please. I did want to talk about across Ontario and really across Canada and throughout the world, we hear about the continued financial pressures on organizations and healthcare in particular, as we think about our future and how we need to also think about new and innovative ways to sustain healthcare and the work that we need to do to support growing communities. I wanted to share with you that we have achieved over the past 2 years $20 million in savings with no impacts on service. And some of that has been a direct result of our stabilization of workforce, particularly the elimination of agency nurses through the funding that we receive from the provincial government and the training programs for healthcare professionals, in particular nurses. Not only have we eliminated agencies, we've also decreased our vacancy rate, and we've reduced our overtime at the same time. So many things that I'm very proud of. Moving forward, we really need to think about how we're going to leverage everything that we can to continue to gain more efficiencies, at the same time protecting the quality of work that we're delivering. So we are working with our government partners. There's been a number of funding announcements, and even today we've had Minister McCarthy and MPP Co at our Oshawa location in terms of an increase that we received to our base funding associated with overperformance and physician assistants. And I just want to again say that the overperformance, in particular related to surgery, is definitely associated with our Jerry Coughlin Center as part of the Pickering location. Next slide. Also wanted to talk about the emergency department and the work that we've been doing over a number of years, but in particular what's happened over the past 2 years. As we think about the challenges that you hear and continue to hear in terms of overcrowding and high volumes of activity within the emergency department, I'm very proud of the work our team in terms of how they have not only started to address the capacity issues within the emergency department, but at the same time have been able to reduce the alternate level of care patients that are in hospital and that create bottlenecks in our system. So over the past 2 years, we've had dedicated actions not only on our emergency departments, but also on our flow and access. And in 1 year, we've actually reduced our alternate level of care patients from 30% down to 10%. And that's been through a coordinated system-wide efforts. And so I have shared before that the emergency department is really a symptom of things that are happening in our organization. And so the improvements we see in the emergency department, which you can go to the next slide, please, is really efforts that have focused on the emergency department as well as on our flow generally throughout our entire facilities. So we continue to focus on patient experience and making sure that the flow in and out of our system, both in the emergency department and in our general buildings, is well coordinated. We're using data to plan our staffing, to meet the capacity demands, and we're focused on the retention and hiring of high quality professionals in our organizations, as I've said, in terms of physicians, nursing and allied health and support staff within our emergency departments. Next slide, please. And so this is some of our data that we're sharing with you again, and this data is available through public reporting, both on our website as well as through the provincial reporting. So we've been able to reduce the length of time within our emergency department by 36%. We've been able to reduce the time that it takes from when you register to get in front of a provider. And just really proud of what we've done for ambulance offload. The provincial target is 30 minutes. We're actually down below the provincial benchmark now at 21 minutes, and that's a 50% improvement for us, as well as the number of people that are waiting in our emergency departments at 8 o'clock in the morning. So not only have we improved the access within our emergency departments, you can also see that we're serving about 270 more inpatients per month within the beds that we have throughout Lakeridge Health because of the improvements in flow. So I would be remiss if I didn't do a tremendous thank you to the provincial government in terms of the support that they've given us, and to the care teams at Lakeridge Health who really have been focused on this as areas of improvement, and one that we should be really proud of. As you hear about the continued struggles within emergency departments throughout the province, we have actually made some inroads in this, and we've gone from our performance towards the bottom of the quartile to the top quartile, and our team and I talk about becoming number one. Next slide, please. So bringing surgery services closer to home, and I talked about Jerry Coughlin just in terms of the volume, but we've actually done 10,000 more procedures because that center is opened. And you can see the other statistics that we have in terms of our overall activity, how we're meeting the provincial benchmark in terms of joint replacements and the number of people that are having these as day procedures, as well as our targets for cancer and our newly acquired robotic surgery program that is also planning to expand in the near future. Next slide. To give you an update on our partnership with Queen's University, we're now in year 3 of our family medicine program. In a short period of time, September, we'll be taking our 4th cohort, which will bring us another 20 students, so 80 students. When we're at full capacity, we'll have 120 students training to become family doctors, all scattered throughout Durham region. And we know that when people are embedded in the community and we get them there quickly within a month of starting in this program, we will see better results in terms of retention of these students and start to tackle some of the issues around primary care access. Next slide, please. Also wanted to provide an update in terms of where we are with our capital redevelopment. So we're in phase 3 of the Bowmanville Hospital redevelopment. And on this slide, you'll see a rendition of potentially what that building is going to look like. We anticipate that we will be awarding the RFP to the vendor in early fall and start construction thereafter. You'll start to see some activity on that site associated with some relocations that we're doing to support the development of this project, but also parking. Within our master plan and before government, in our pre-cap submission is the complex continuing care that would be part of our Pickering location, new hospital in Whitby, as well as we're engaged in work with our clinical teams now to look at clinical programming and servicing that we can bring more quickly on board for our Oshawa and Ajax Pickering locations. Our intention and overall goal is to continue to build that one system of integrated care to provide as much care as possible within the Durham region so that people do not have to leave Durham region for care and services. Next slide, please. One of the other proposals that's before government that we've talked about many times is mental health and addictions. You can see here the volume of activity that we do throughout Lakeridge Health. I'm really happy to share that we did an opening of our bridging clinic on April the 1st. And that really was built on partnership with the Center for Addictions and Mental Health in Toronto. This clinic actually provides a bridge for people that are admitted to hospital or come through any of our emergency departments. They can come through the bridging clinic and they can stay within that clinic and service line for up to 3 months while we connect them with the other services that are available either within Lakeridge Health or other service providers. So just really excited by that launch. We continue to advocate for a dedicated space for mental health and addictions, emergency and urgent services. And I've shared before that that would be a hub and spoke model that would be available to provide coverage throughout the entire Durham region. Next slide, please. I wanted to share with you an exciting opportunity that happened in a partnership with Grandview Kids. We actually partnered with Grandview. They moved into their new building in Ajax, and within that space was dedicated locations for a procedure room and recovery room. And through our partnership, we've actually been able to equip that room. And we launched our GAP clinic on May the 6th. So the GAP clinic is a general anesthetic procedure clinic. It's done in partnership with the anesthesia team and OR team at Lakeridge Health, as well as the physicians and other service providers at Grandview Kids, where we will provide sedation for kids with special needs to undergo procedures. We've outfitted it consistent with what we would do at our Jerry Coughlin or OR suites. We also have a fully equipped recovery space that would be consistent with all of the technology we have within any of our critical care spaces, so that we can manage the care in the most safest way possible for children. But really excited, this has started, and we see this as an opportunity for continued growth and expansion to bring care into the community in a space where kids and their families feel very comfortable. Next slide, please. We're getting ready to launch our new strategic plan at our annual general meeting, which is on June the 11th. We rotate every year through a different location throughout Durham region. This year we'll be in Oshawa. I would encourage any of our councillors, mayors, and community to attend. It's a great evening in terms of celebrating and also sharing highlights of the past year. Next slide, please. We have been involved. I think there might be one more slide. Maybe not. Okay. I had one more slide, I thought. Oh, here we go. So in addition to the work that we've been doing on direct clinical programming and services, we've also done for the second year the Women's in Health Symposium. And I know there's many members of council that have attended this session. We've now had education in partnership with the healthcare professionals in our organization and people who've participated to over 1,000 people. What we recognize is that there's a continued need to talk about women's health and women's education. And so we're getting ready to launch on May the 24th, a year-round engagement session where there'll be an opportunity for women to connect with healthcare providers and to learn more about women's health prevention, screening, and treatment, as well as have any women's health related questions answered. So I'm really excited by this. If you scan the QR code, you can join, and I would encourage councils to support this dissemination of this information to your residents. So that's it for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Do any members of council have any questions, comments, concerns? Councillor Tyler Morin, is your hand up because you wish to speak? If so, do me a favor, hit the request to speak button, not the hand button. Thank you. Councillor Tyler Morin.
Thank you, Ms. Davis, for your presentation. Do you know, because if you don't, it's okay, when peak times are at the Grandview site here in Ajax, when programming is at its highest, when most people are visiting the building in very general terms? Like obviously Monday morning, is that when most staff is there? Is there an answer there? Thank you. That's my question.
their activity, I wouldn't have a line of sight in terms of their peak volumes and activity. The project that I talked about is bringing conscious sedation and sedation to Grandview kids for kids to undergo special procedures. And that's really been our involvement with Grandview up to date.
Okay, no, that's fine. I just thought you might know. Thank you, Chair. I will take this offline. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bauer.
Thank you, Chair Lee. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Davis, for this excellent presentation. Very interesting, and I'm glad to see the numbers are improving. So I just wanted to ask a question. It's near the beginning. 1, 2, 3, fourth slide, where you talk about significant actions already taken. And one of them says eliminated agency nurses. So I just wanted to ask, how many, does that mean staffing decreased, or how was that able to be accomplished with no impact on service?
Story for us at Lakeridge Health. So you may have heard, particularly during the pandemic, that there was lots of discussion around agency staff. And so that was because we had vacancies within our own organization. And in order for us to staff those delivery areas, we actually needed to go to an outside company, so an agency, where we brought in additional nursing staff in particular in order to manage this. Through a number of initiatives, and what I would say is both provincial funding, additional education, the extern program with colleges and universities, we've actually been able to hire permanent staff to Lakeridge Health Organization, which has been very positive for us. And I'll just share with you the extern program, which has nursing students come in and work in different capacities throughout their training. We have almost a 90% higher rate with the nursing externs. And so we've actually gone from vacancy rates that have been in excess of the provincial benchmark of 8% to well below that. And I'll share with you, I have, and I apologize if you've heard this at some of my other presentations, when I started at Lakeridge Health, about 70% of the staff working in our emergency department were agency. We actually have no vacancies within our emergency department right now because we've been able to hire our own staff. So in addition to bringing stability in terms of staffing, there's been no reductions. And in actual fact, we've been able to save money on the other side of it because the agency nurses are such more of a cost to our organization compared to our own staff. So just a really great story. And I would say to you, there are still organizations in Ontario through no fault of their own that would continue to have agency staff within their organization. But I'm really proud of the fact that for more than 2 years, we've not needed to do that.
That's wonderful. Thank you for that answer. Really good to hear. Thank you, Chair Lee. That was my question.
Thank you. Ms. Davis, do you want to just kind of stay on, and then we don't have to kind of keep letting you hit the request to speak, please? Thank you. And just don't touch. We'll keep you there. And now we have Regional Councillor Crawford.
Thank you for your report again. You know what I'm going to ask you to do? I need you to brag about your ratings.
Yes. So when I talk about our emergency department and really the work that's happened, it's all emergency averages across the board. So the 4 emergency departments that we have at Lakeridge Health, we went from the bottom quartile to today, I actually heard we're in the 5th ranking in the province in terms of the metrics that we have to track. So the volume of activity, how fast we get people in front of a doctor or a nurse practitioner, how fast we get diagnosis, get people admitted into a bed, discharged home. And there's a number of other things like ambulance offload. We're now sitting in the top quartile. And as I said earlier, our team is so proud of the work that they've done. And we've set ambitious plans for ourselves to be #1 in the province. And I know we're going to get there.
Well done. I just wanted you to brag a little. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other members of council wish to speak? I see Councillor Henry.
Hi there. Thank you so much for your presentation. You always do such a great job. We appreciate that. To all our
Thank
friends
you.
watching at home, I just want to just go over this quickly. We as council, we have no say in the hospital, correct?
That's right.
All right. So, and the reason I say that it's not to diminish any of your work or your presentation, but sometimes we get members of the public calling and asking why we can't change this, why we can't change that. I always point out that we don't sit on the board as a municipal council. We do not regulate or govern you. We have no say in these things. And you folks are your person would be your MPP. That would be the governance, the province, correct?
Yes, correct. And I mean, you don't sit on our board, and you're not directly involved in operations, but we certainly work in partnership with our municipalities because at the end of the day, we want to provide the best care and service to the residents of Durham Region.
100%. 100%. It's always the goal. I have nurses in my family. Always the goal. So thank you for coming today. I wanted to give that little bit of information to our residents, just so they're understanding when we redirect them back to the province at times.
So, Councillor Henry, if I could add one other piece before residents get directed back to the province. I mean, if it's big issues around overall healthcare, but what I would say is our organization is committed to providing the highest quality of care to residents of Durham Region. And we have, departments within our organization that would be happy to link with anybody throughout Durham Region around better understanding their care experiences or any suggestions for improvement for us. And that information is available on our website through our patient experience team. And I would encourage people to reach out to us. The only way that we can continue to make improvements is through obtaining feedback from people that have availed of services throughout Lakeridge Health.
Understood. Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't get a lot of calls, but I just want to have that little piece of clarification so folks understand, right? And I have to say that my personal experience as of late has been very good. So thank you for everything.
You're very welcome. And if I could just share that we're absolutely committed to being a learning organization. I know we have dedicated healthcare professionals in our teams. Sometimes through no fault of their own, we can't deliver what's expected in that day. But we really do want to hear from people so that we can continue to improve. And I would encourage people to reach out to us.
That's good input. Thank you so much. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, Councillor Henry. Any other further members of council? Seeing none, thank you very much for your delegation again, and I'm sure we'll see you again. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
To council, our apologies. The moving and the of the adoption of minutes didn't go through on our side, just a bit of technical difficulties. So just once again, moved by Councillor Bauer, seconded by Councillor Tyler Morin. Items 3.1 and 3.2 to be moved. No questions, comments, concern. We're going to start the vote again one more time. Okay. And that worked. Seeing the clerk? Yes, thank you. Okay, we're on to item 5.2, delegation proclamation for Aging Well Month. We have Moninder Nahar, Community Relations Coordinator, and Elaine Livehart, Community Engagement Associate. So you just Public Library. Go ahead.
Thank you. We'll just wait for our PDF to go up on the screen. Okay. Good afternoon, Mayor Collier, members of council, town staff, and Ajax residents. Thank you for welcoming us here today. My name is Moninder Nahar, and I'm one of the community recreation coordinators with the Recreation Culture Department, and I oversee our older adults and seniors portfolio. June 2026 marks the 42nd anniversary of Seniors Month in Ontario, which we here in Ajax have coined as Aging Well Month. During the month of June, we recognize the role that older adults and seniors play in our community and the contributions of their of their time and talents that add to the vibrancy of our community and the importance of being leaders and mentors to younger generations. To celebrate Aging Well Month, we have put together a number of free activities for those ages 55 and up taking place throughout the month of June, including the popular Seniors Barbecue, which will be held on Tuesday, June 2nd at the Owsley Recreation Center in the Community Hall and the Fairground space. We'd like to mention our appreciation to the Ministry of Seniors and Accessibility for their ongoing support through the Seniors Active Living Center funding. Their support has allowed us to offer many free programs, events, and services, including those during Aging Well Month.
Hello, I'm Elaine Levart, a Community Engagement Associate with the Ajax Public Library, and I'm also happy to be here today to proclaim June as Aging Well Month in Ajax. So we have a full month of activities planned, and we're excited to bring back some popular events such as armchair travel, cultural cinema, and the cooking demo, workshops such as line dancing, art, needle felting, our trivia night, plus many more. Just to end off, please note that registration for some of these activities is required. Registration opens tomorrow, Wednesday, May the 20th at 9 a.m. Full details about the information shared today can be found on ajax.ca, Aging Well Month 2026, or at ajaxlibrary.ca. A physical copy is also available at the information desks at any of our community centers or library branches. Staff at these locations will be available to assist you with registering for these programs.
Thank you, Elaine. Thank you, everyone, again for your time today. We respectfully request that June 2026 be proclaimed as Aging Well Month.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns from council regarding Aging Well Month? Seeing none, then allow me to do the proclamation. Sure. And then I'll hand it over to Mayor Collier. The virtual proclamation, at least. Thank you very much. This just says that the Corporation of the Town of Ajax hereby proclaims June 2026 as Aging Well Month, presented on behalf of Mayor Collier and Ajax Council. Congratulations. One more thing before Mayor Collier joins in. Councillor Bauer has politely let me know that I forgot to ask for any disclosures of pecuniary interest. Thankfully, no decisions were made. So do any members of council have any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, you've been a great audience. Don't forget to tip your waitress. I'll now hand it over to Mayor Collier.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Lee. My apologies. My Durham Regional Police Service Board meeting ran a little late, so thank you for covering. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, we just did Aging Well Month. We have the delegation for temporary use of 10-20-30 Blowers Crescent. Robert McKillen, Senior Planner, the Biglieri Group.
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Excellent. I'm just going to share my screen. There we go. Okay. Good afternoon again. Thank you very much for the opportunity to join you today. My name is Robert McQuillan. I'm a registered professional planner with the Biglieri Group, and we represent the owner of 10, 20, and 30 Blowers Crescent, located just to the north of the intersection of Salem Road and Kerrison Drive. So as Council knows, in February of this year, official plan and zoning bylaw amendments were passed to permit the development of 3 residential towers positioned on top of a podium of commercial spaces, pedestrian promenades, and gathering spaces and parking. And this development would cover all properties. We're currently in the process of pursuing an application for site plan approval in order to eventually advance to the building permit stage. So the site plan approval process requires us to undertake a number of detailed studies to demonstrate that the ultimate proposed development can be adequately accommodated on the properties, which, given the scale of this development, will take some time to prepare. So as a result, we're proposing an interim land use to activate the subject site while we undertake the necessary work to achieve site plan approval. So the proposed interim land use is an open air vendors market. The idea is that rather than just having vacant land here for the period that we work on site plan approval, a market be established to make use of the land for the Ajax community. The market would operate beginning in the spring and ending in the fall, and would take place on Saturdays and Sundays, and would otherwise be vacant during the week in the off season. Tents would be put up and taken down each day of the market by the vendors themselves, and would be managed by the site's owner. The vendors are still to be determined at this stage, but anticipated to sell a variety of wares with the possibility that some food vendors may be considered as well. The owner has really stressed that he is committed to work with the town in the vendor selection process to make sure that the right vendors are using the market on the site. The other thing is the owner is committed that 5 to 10% of all sales generated at the market will be donated to local charitable organizations of Mayor Collier and Council's selection. I also just want to note that this is specifically a proposal for an interim market use for the period that we're working on the site plan approval. No events or live performances or stages would be permitted here, and they're not proposed. So this is the site plan that we've been working on, and we've been collaborating with staff on its preparation. And I'll just walk you through some of the key elements. So starting on the side of the site that fronts onto Salem Road, which is highlighted in green here, this is gathering spaces. So picture picnic tables and places to spend time to activate the property's frontage along Salem Road. Leading into the market stall areas in the red, we're showing about 160 stalls in this iteration, which will be subject to demand ultimately once the market takes place itself. We've added in some mobile restrooms at the north end of the site, and then we've tucked the parking in the rear from Blowers Crescent so that it doesn't take up a lot of visual space when you arrive at the site. And the parking rate is proposed at a rate of 19 spaces per square meters of vendor space, which was established in collaboration with planning staff. So the next steps on this proposal is that we'll be working through a site plan approval process specifically for the market, just to make sure that the nuts and bolts of the site proposal work correctly, making sure that the site layout flows well, making sure that we have an appropriate parking design, things of that nature. Ultimately, our goal is to advance the fulsome development plan of the mixed-use development on the site, but understanding that that's going to take some time to get those shovels in the ground due to the scale of the work that's required in the interim. We feel that this is really an appropriate activation of the land to benefit the Ajax community in the meantime. And in advance, we'd just like to say that we really appreciate Council's vision for this innovative interim land use, and we appreciate your support today. That concludes my remarks. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. First councilor I see in the speaking list is Councilor Crawford. Councilor Crawford, please go ahead.
Thank you very much for your report. Your report actually answers a lot of questions that I hadn't seen it before, so that's great. I guess my biggest concern would have been parking, because it's not a walkable, like I couldn't walk there based on where they're situated. None of the community could walk to it. So it will be basically you have to drive. And so you're suggesting 183 parking spots. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's correct. Yeah, that's what we're showing on the site plan right now. That parking rate is consistent with the retail parking rate in the zoning bylaw, which was advised by planning staff. So through the site plan approval process, those are the kind of details that we'll be working through really specifically to make sure that the number of parking spaces versus the number of stalls are appropriate, given that this is kind of a bit of an island. It's not particularly walkable. And there is a possibility, given that the owner owns other properties on Blowers Crescent, that if we needed to expand additional parking to another site, we could do that. From a planning approvals process, it's simpler and more straightforward to accommodate it on the site that we have here. So that's what we're intending to do ultimately.
Perfect. So I'm assuming then that you're speaking with the medical office beside you, like literally on, like right beside you. I know that because it's my doctor's office. So
yes. Yeah. So I did hear that Dr. Sharif is many councillors' doctor. So we haven't spoken to him specifically about the market yet, but I did speak to the owner about that just recently, and he said that we're definitely committed to collaborating with the neighbors. In this case, it's Dr. Sharif, to make sure that the proposal is sensitive to the doctor's office next door.
Because if you don't, he will be speaking to me. So I guarantee you
Okay.
that.
We'll get to him first.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Not seeing anybody else in the speaker's box right now. Parking was not my major concern. My major concern is time. I want to make sure, and there's a motion coming later on in this, but the developer and who I spoke with when he first came to me with this proposal knows absolutely that this is for a 2-year period, no longer. We are not looking to extend the development process at all. Just, I recognize that site plan and those approvals do take time, so you want to have a temporary use for the land. But I have your assurance this is for a 2-year period, 2-year only. Your client will not appear before us asking for an extension, and this is in no way going to slow down the development from moving ahead.
Yes, exactly. And this has been specifically the spirit of our conversations offline. The ultimate plan is to advance the mixed use development in the time that we've been allotted, because we are on a tight timeline to do that as well. Understanding that it's a bit of a process to get site plan approval. This is an interim land use permitted for a fixed period of time. And after that fixed period of time, the intention is that the full development build out will take place.
2 years is the fixed term of time, correct?
Yes. I actually understood that the motion would be 18 months with a possibility for an 18-month extension. And at that point, it would be cut off. But that was in my conversations with planning staff separately. So it's up to council's discretion in terms of what that motion specifically permits.
Okay, I'll have to go back and read the motion. But my understanding is, speaking with the developer and now having you online, seeing it publicly, was that this is for a fixed period. I just didn't want there to be any misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm.
I see Councilor Henry in the speakers list. Maybe she's going to correct me on what's in the motion. Councilor Henry?
I am not going to correct you, Mr. Mayor. I am not even looking at that point of the motion right now. I'll let that be figured out later in, and whatever you think is best, we'll go with that. I just wanted to talk about a conversation with regards to, you've stated before, to me at least, that this would not be a place for a concert stage on site. Like, there's not going to be concerts, things like that. I just wanted to make sure that was very clear with what we're talking about today, because this is not competition for our fairgrounds.
No, exactly. There's no appetite for events here or for a stage on the owner's part. And the temporary use bylaw wouldn't permit event space or events taking place, the erection of a stage. So that's not proposed, and it's not included in the proposal at all.
That's all I needed to hear. Thank you so much. I'll let Mayor Collier work on the rest of how long we're allowing this for. I'm good with whatever his recommendations are on that one. Thank you.
No, I confirmed it's 2 years in the motion, so we're good. Thank you, Robert, for appearing before us today. There's nobody else in the speakers list.
Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you. Get back on the schedule here. There we go. Next delegation, we have Community Affairs and Planning Committee Report, item 5.2, Doug Glass, Ajax resident. Mr. Glass, please go ahead. You have 5 minutes.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can't see you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor, members of council. I want to speak today about the Future in Focus report from the May CAP meeting. Council, reports like these are not simple planning discussions for information only. They really do shape the town's long-term assumptions on infrastructure, capital spending, debt, property taxes, and ultimately taxpayer risk. During that meeting, the consultant stated that the town assumptions are built off a 2051 Envision Durham population forecast of 1.3 million people. But he also said very clearly that the government of Ontario has a much lower forecast for Durham of 1.06 million residents, which is roughly 20% lower. For years, I've heard this council state that Ajax is expected to align with the provincial planning frameworks and growth policies. And at the March 2nd special council meeting, the mayor said the following: "We follow guidelines that are set out by the province." So I ask, why are we not using the province's lower stress tested model? And has this town staff prepared a model using the province's 1.06 million forecast? I would encourage council to ask for that analysis to be done and made public, given the significant impact to the town and taxpayers. I do not oppose growth. I seek to understand the pace, scale, and financial assumptions behind what you are proposing. Which leads me to the employment growth and taxation, because this was also discussed at the CAP meeting. For years, residents were told that economic growth and employment expansion in Ajax would shift more of the tax burden away from homeowners. There was even a goal to reduce the residential share to below 80%. So how have we done so far since that plan forecast? In 2019, the residential share was 85.4%. Now in 2026, with last week's 2026 rate report released, the residential share is roughly 84%. So in spite of significant warehouse growth with additions like Amazon, Ajax residents are nowhere near the promised 80% or less goal. Why does that matter? At the CAP meeting, the consultant spoke clearly about the importance of protecting Ajax's remaining employment lands. In March, at a special council meeting, I asked council why you were supporting a development that would convert employment lands to residential, and I was told, with increased density, we will be adding more residents, and this will split up the pie on taxes and should take some of the pressure off. Increasingly, the spending to accommodate much more residential density is not the same as employment growth and jobs. In 2023, Ajax 10-year capital projection forecasted $520 million in spending over 10 years. This past December, the 2026 budget 10-year forecast was $602 million. So in 4 years between 2023 and 2026, there was an increase in about 16%. But last week, with the release of the Financial Sustainability Plan on page 2, the 10-year spending grew to a whopping $740 million. That is a $138 million increase in spending in just 5 months. I want to repeat that. $602 million in December, $740 million only 5 months later. How does a 10-year capital plan grow by $138 million in just 5 months? And at what point does this council stop and ask, are we realistically asking taxpayers to sustain more than they can handle? And now there is even discussion about deferring development charges for some tax classes for up to 15 years. I think Ajax is biting off more than residents can chew. Aggressive spend growth is not a substitute for protecting taxpayers. In closing, I'd like to ask all members of council the following 3 questions. 1, why is Ajax using a population forecast that is 20% higher than the province? 2, what percentage of the town's overall property tax burden will resident taxpayers carry in 10 years? And 3, how does a 10-year capital plan grow by $138 million in only 5 months? I look forward to your reply to my 3 questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Not seeing any questions in the speaker's box from any members of council. I believe the next delegation is yours as well. Delegation General Government Committee Report, items 4.4 and 6.2. Please go ahead. You have another 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I want to speak to the Financial Sustainability Plan and the Annual Investment Report from last week's General Government meeting. I'll start with investments. Ajax manages a $250 million investment portfolio that is increasingly playing an important role in supporting the town's financial position, with much of the leadership being done by the mayor. Last year I asked this question, and unfortunately I didn't get an answer, so I'm going to ask it again. What succession and knowledge transfer has taken place to move leadership of our investment strategy from the mayor and towards council? This is critical because the mayor is leaving office in 5 months. Ajax residents, I think, deserve a full explanation because the 2025 investment report doesn't provide any details on this. The larger issue I want to discuss is the infrastructure levy and the town's financial sustainability plan. Residents need to understand what is being proposed and how dramatically this discussion has changed in only 4 years. Most residents do not know this, but over the past 4 years, in addition to the regular property taxes residents pay to operate the town, council embedded an additional infrastructure levy of up to 2% within our tax bill each year. This 2% levy was approved by council in January 2023 as part of the 2023 budget. On slide 24 of that presentation, the town showed a chart titled Closing of the Funding Gap with New Infrastructure Levy. That slide stated the following: implement a 2% infrastructure levy from 2023 to 2026, and then a 1% levy from 2027 onward. The line graph on the chart clearly shows with these measures, the funding gap would narrow over time. Then, in 2025, 2 years after it was approved, at an asset management presentation, staff again stated the following: 2% until 2026 and 1% thereafter. So this was not just an old assumption from 2023, it was policy as recent as 1 year ago. Now, 4 years later, with the release of the 2026 Financial Sustainability Plan, page 3 states the following: the 2% infrastructure levy will continue to fund asset management needs. I ask, what happened to the promised 1% levy for 2027 from 2023 and 2025? Unlike both that time, residents are no longer clearly being told how long this 2% levy is expected to continue. It's not mentioned in the financial sustainability report. Given that this is now embedded within a 10-year financial plan, it is reasonable for residents to conclude that Ajax may now be facing another decade of 2% infrastructure levies built into future property taxes. What was positioned as a temporary corrective funding tool is now looking like a permanent tax layer. What has changed is simple. Like my previous delegation showed, the town has very aggressive development plans, and we are being asked to pay for it upfront. How do I know this? Why else would the town be considering deferring development charges for some tax classes for up to 15 years? We are not the guarantors of all of this development growth and financial risk. Managing $740 million of expansion all on the backs of taxpayers is wrong, and these plans need to be scaled back significantly. Stagger major growth over 20 years instead of 10. Use the province's population forecast, but do whatever you can to find more reasonable and responsible ways to protect residents and the town. Last week, all 7 of you approved receiving this report. Do not endorse it today. Residents cannot keep being the financial backstop every time assumptions become more aggressive. And I want to ask council one direct question. In 2023, residents were told this levy would help close the funding gap and drop to 1% after 26. So why are residents now being shown another 2% with no clear timeline for how long it will remain in place? Lastly, I want to speak to current debt. We have $27 million in between tax supported and DC debt, but the proposal on page 26 of the Financial Sustainability Plan shows $67 million in new tax supported debt and $285 million in new DC debt. Growth funded debt works best in strong economic times. This isn't the case right now. What happens if the town takes on this debt, even DC debt, and a project or a developer fails? Isn't this debt still the responsibility of residents? So let's be sure to make it clear that there are taxpayer risks by adding this much significant debt and continued high levies. I look forward to hearing from council, particularly those who are planning to return to tackle this issue over the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Glass. Councillor Lee, I see your name in the speakers list. Please go ahead.
Sorry, they still have me as the chair mode. Thank you, Chair. I think, again, I'm sure our Director of Finance will correct anything I'm saying incorrectly, but I think I would hazard a guess that the difference between 2023 and the present in terms of any sort of levy is probably due to our dwindling casino revenues, as well as our which are dwindling at a faster rate than we probably anticipated back in 2023, as well as I'm sure the eLexicon dividends that we've now kind of changed the structure of due to helping our utility kind of function. So I mean that's off the top of my head, and those are pretty concrete examples of that probably make up that 1%. But
No,
the report also. Sorry, go ahead.
That still is only, even in the best of times, casino revenues and Lexicon were never ever that high to justify 670 million in new tax-supported debt and 285 million in new DC debt.
I think you're asking specifically just why the difference between 1%.
Folks, this is not a debate. Councillor Lee, questions to the delegation, please.
Sorry, you know what? I was, giving an answer as to the best of my ability. So, yeah, I will leave it at that. Thank you, Chair.
You're welcome. Councillor Tyler Moore, and you're next.
Thank you, Your Worship. My question is through you to the Chair of Finance and our Treasurer, as per Mr. Glass's.
Councillor Tyler Moore, and this is questions to the delegate, please.
Got it. Thank you. I'll ask later if I have an opportunity.
Well, both of these items are coming up in the agenda, so that would be the appropriate time. Not seeing anybody else on the speakers list. Thank you, Mr. Glass, for your delegations.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next, item 5.6, public meeting, regional official plan amendment application, ROPA 26A2, official plan application 26A5, and zoning bylaw amendment Z7 2660 Blowers Crescent. And we have, I don't have the name of who is here representing this developer. I will just open, since this is a directive, that this was a group that approached me after we did 10, 20, and 30 Blowers Crescent, looking to do a similar type development on their property. That development is here before you today. Hold on, let me open the floor here. David Cherizenko, are you here representing the developer?
I am, Your Worship.
Okay, please go ahead.
I have a presentation that should be available to be on your screen. I can upload it if not.
Hi, David. We did not receive a presentation for today. Are you able to share it yourself, or would you like to send it to us via email?
I'm happy to share my screen. Thank you.
No problem. Sorry, David. So you should see an option there to choose which screen you'd like to share. Do you see an option within the meeting platform?
No.
Okay, give us one moment.
Sorry, I'm just looking. I wondered if anybody had an electronic copy. I have a hard copy here.
We're just getting access to one, Mr. Chair.
I don't know
Sorry,
if
one
we have an
moment.
electronic copy that can be shared with council.
Okay, perfect. We're ready to share now. One moment.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Your Worship, members of council. My name is Dave Cherizenko. I am a principal at Bousfields. We're located at 3 Church Street, Suite 200 in Toronto. We are the planners for the applicants with respect to the lands municipally known as 60 Blowers Crescent in the town of Ajax. Before you today is applications for a regional official plan amendment to redesignate the subject site from employment areas to community areas, as well as an official plan amendment to redesignate the lands from prestige employment to mixed commercial corridor in the Ajax official plan, which is also accompanied by a zoning bylaw amendment application to rezone the subject site from prestige employment to local commercial with site-specific exceptions. The next slide, please. I think we've changed documents. Sorry. Great, thank you. So the proposal includes 2 mixed-use towers with heights of 30 stories, which will sit atop 6-story podiums. Each of these towers will face Salem and occupy the north and southern portions of the subject site. At the northwest corner of the subject site, and which is also prominently located at the corner of Blowers Crescent and Salem Road, is a proposed 400 square meter urban park or urban square. And in the middle of the subject site would be a new mid-block pedestrian connection, which will serve area residents and employment with outdoor amenities. In total, the proposed development would include just over 58,000 square meters of gross floor area. And that will include over 2,500 square meters of non-residential space. And this is an important number because the subject site was approved in 2014 for the same amount, 2,500 square meters of commercial space, which will be entirely replaced in the proposal. And in addition to that replacement of 2,500 square meters of non-residential space, approximately 622 new dwelling units will be offered as part of the mixed-use development, which will include just over 62 of those units as affordable housing units. Next slide, please. Here you can see the proposal looking southwest across the subject site. The 2 30-story buildings in the forefront are the proposal, as well as the 3 buildings you can see in behind in white is the approval at 10 to 30 Blowers Crescent. As you can see at the lower bottom right corner is where the location of the urban square would be, as well as the arrangement of the 2 towers fronting on Salem, together with increased setbacks along Salem Road for landscaping and pedestrian circulation. Next slide, please. Here's a bird's eye view looking west. So you can see just to the west the 40 Blowers Crescent Medical Office Building. But through the proposal, you can see that mid-block connection for pedestrians and the outdoor amenity spaces on the roof of the 6-story podium, all occupying the space between the two towers. Which will provide for a great deal of individual amenities for area residents, as well as activate the at-grade retail, which will accommodate that 2,500 square meters of non-residential space. Next slide, please. So as part of these applications, the provincial planning statement provides for removal of employment lands to qualify to meet certain provincial criteria under policy 2.8.2.5. And as part of this applications, we have prepared the necessary supporting studies to satisfy those criteria. First, an employment land conversion study was prepared by Parcel Economics, and in accordance with the provincial policy that's applicable, it recognized that the removal of this particular site represents less than 1% of the town's vacant employment areas and would not be required over the long term for the town's employment requirements. A land use compatibility study was completed by SS Wilson Associates, and it also concluded that the surrounding employment uses would not negatively impacted or their long-term functionality or viability be impacted. Third, a functional servicing report was prepared by Crozier and Associates, and that report concluded that there was sufficient municipal servicing, so that's water, wastewater, and stormwater, to support the development. And then finally, my office prepared a land use planning justification report, which included a comprehensive review of that policy context and supported the mixed use development by providing for that 2,500 square meters of non-residential space replacement, as was previously approved, in addition to providing 622 dwelling units, and about 62 of those being affordable housing units. And in conclusion, I just wanted to thank the mayor and staff and council for considering the applications and moving this project forward in the short term. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. I do have a few council questions. Councillor Crawford, you're first.
Thank you, Your Worship. So are we no longer going to be attracting employment? Like, you seem to believe that we don't need employment anymore, that all we're going to do is build buildings for people to live in. It sounds noble, like, don't get me wrong, but your assumption is that we don't need to leave room for employment to come to Ajax?
Through you, Your Worship, that's not actually my conclusion on supporting this application. So the subject site was approved in 2014 for a commercial plaza with 2,500 square meters of retail space. It's just under 1 hectare in size, which is not an appropriate lot size for the type of employment that you would see, for example, on the east side of Salem Road. It's not of sufficient scale to accommodate those type of manufacturing facilities, and therefore the previous use as a retail plaza is what was going to be the employment nature of this site. And what we're doing is replacing all of that retail function in the proposal, but adding the residential uses on top to support the housing
Gotcha.
targets for the city.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, I understand.
Let me jump in here for a sec. I just reached around and pulled this out with the stats. One thing I've been very careful of in all of the directives we brought forward is to make sure we're maintaining that 50 jobs per net hectare minimum requirement because I absolutely recognize that we do not have enough employment lands to meet our targets, but at the same time, air has value, and we also have a housing crisis. So in these that we've approved, we put wording in the bylaws and the zoning to make sure that that threshold of 50 jobs per net hectare is still maintained. In most cases, like the one we approved 2 over from this, well, even the one next to this, is about, I think, 8 or 10 times more than if we just allowed a single-story commercial plaza. So this is still maintaining that commercial use and retail use in this case, but also adding, the 25, 30 floors or the 622 units of a residential as well. So multi-use, but maintaining employment. Just thought to mention that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I understand that. So the property literally beside you is saying that they don't have demand or waiting through the site plan application. So they're going to be moving that property into a temporary, I can't remember exactly what the wording was. So do you see the demand as more, or are you just ready to go through this because the zoning needs to be changed? The purpose of this is just to change the zoning, and you're not going to come back to us and say, we want to have an entertainment center too?
Through you, Mr. Worship. No, we're actively pursuing a site plan application. We have an entire development team that's already ready to go, including ourselves, Harari Pontorini Architects, and the other consultants that you had seen on the screen. All of them are just waiting for this council decision to get going on the site plan application.
Hey,
so we're ready to go.
I like that. I like ready to go. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor Collier.
You're welcome. Just to add, the other one, 10, 20, 30, isn't because they're delaying. It's just a filler while they're going through the site plan process. It's not delaying in any way. I don't expect to see something out of this group. I think you guys are maybe a little closer. This one might not be quite as complex. Councillor Lee, there you go. You are next.
Mayor, why don't you stay on? Because my question is regarding employment. So generally, our goal is 50 jobs per net hectare. How many jobs are we providing here then? Was it 100? Did I say that somewhere? Or what is our final number?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just over 100. So it would be 100 jobs per hectare here. So double the 50 jobs per hectare target.
And really the type of jobs, it's just based on what you were saying, we were expecting kind of a plaza before, a retail plaza. So really the type of jobs wouldn't be sacrificed. We're not losing office jobs in replace for like fast food, correct? Like the type of jobs could generally remain the same?
Generally, they would be the same, yes.
Okay. Now, it says 10% affordable housing, and that's great. I'm just wondering why we only are... why are we only doing 10%? Like realistically, from 2014 to now, so 12 years later, this is a fundamental change of the zoning of the, the scale of the project. And so it's like, you'll ultimately benefit quite substantially from, this rezoning. And I'm more than happy to support that. But also, as the mayor mentioned previously, there is a housing crunch right now that, why aren't we able to secure more affordable housing?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the 10% affordable housing is a minimum. As the process unfolds and as the market demand is better known, that number could increase. But what we're securing today is a minimum requirement for 10%. And of course, that minimum could always be exceeded.
Okay, that's fair. Sorry, go ahead, Mayor.
I'll just add, CMHC has really tightened up their lending, and I assume this will be a rental building, but I don't think we asked that question. But CMHC has actually been quite tough on developers that have tried to go higher, because what happens when you go higher, I'll use 101 Pat Bailey Square, the Matrix building, as an example, because I just have those numbers on top of my head. It was 112 units, of which I think 5% was affordable. That represented $1.4 million over 10 years. It's a significant amount of rent reduction over time. And when the finance companies look at this, it affects the business model because rents have decreased. There's more inventory. And by having that higher number than 10% of affordable, it kind of is almost the tipping point for even getting funding on a proposal. So that's kind of why we've been looking at that number.
Okay. Well, I mean, I appreciate Mr. Cherazenko's response of this is a minimum, because ultimately, you know, we do need to factor affordability in a lot of these decisions. And then do we have the mix? Again, I'm sure it's in front of me somewhere, but the amount of 1, 2, 3 bedroom units available, will there be more than 2 bedroom units to accommodate larger families?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. A minimum of 10% of the 622 units will be 3 bedroom units, and there will be a mix of 1s, 2s, and 3s. Those numbers will get more specific as we get to the site plan stage, but we are committing to 10% of the units being 3 bedroom or family size units.
Great. I appreciate all the responses. Thank you very much. Looking forward to support. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Henry, you are next. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So if this does get approved, we've received some feedback, I believe, from the doctor's office adjacent to the property, and you'll be looking into that, correct? You'll be making sure that you're meeting their criteria, their needs, not to encroach upon their property in any way.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, absolutely, Councillor Henry. There will be a construction management plan that will be provided at the site plan stage, which will show fencing, traffic controls, construction management of vehicles entering and exiting the site, all to protect surrounding developments, including 40 Blowers Crescent.
And when this development is completed, will you have doctor's offices on site in competition with the existing doctor's office? Is that one of the proposed uses?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it would be a permitted use, just like it is at 40 Blowers Crescent. I can't tell you one way or another what those uses will be. It will be subject to market sounding. What I can say is I don't necessarily agree that more medical space would be at all in competition with the medical office building at 40 Blowers Crescent. I think the more medical office space the community has, the better.
I tend to agree with that. I'm just choosing my words very carefully here because I know that Dr. Sharif might not feel the same way. I want to ask one last question, more I think of the mayor and or our staff, is that now that we're changing the use in this area so much, and we know that to the west, we have UPS and some other industrial development, and to the east, more commercial style development. I want to make sure, as I ask this with all the new developments, zoning we're changing, that this will not encroach on the operation time of the existing commercial businesses to have apartments in this area. So therefore, if complaints come in about the operation time, we're not, as a town, going to go back to the existing operators of the commercial use properties and say, you have to adjust because you are interfering or bothering the residents across the street. Because this is made to be commercial area and we're changing this. So I'm just asking for those assurances.
Don't look at me. I think that question's to you, David.
Who do I look at?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Could I ask, sorry, Councillor Henry, could you reframe the question? I'm having a hard time.
I think just to give clarity,
So currently, this property.
I was just going to say, Nancy, I believe that if a new residential comes in and there's an existing heavy commercial, the new residential could affect the operation of the heavy commercial with regards to sound emissions, those types of things. I believe that is the way it works. In this case, and again, I've been careful with, these are smaller parcels. These aren't, great big properties like the Amazon property or the one just on the east side of Salem Road across the road. These, which is warehouse space, by the way. So it's indoors. We've been careful in bringing these forward to make sure these are in areas where we're not right next to any type of noxious type existing commercial, heavy commercial, big emitters, smell, waste facilities, those types of things, to avoid those types of conflicts, Councillor.
I'm not worried about that, Mr. Mayor, that part of it. What I am worried about, I'll give you an example of my own husband, who will complain about, backing up of trucks, and I can hear it when I'm sleeping. And I'm like, they have a right to operate in this time period, right? So this is what I'm saying is I don't want to see, and I remember Mr. Romanowski about a year or so ago made this very specific point when we spoke about Kerrison and Salem and putting something right next to, what's the development on the corner there?
Southeast corner, the Ishmael family on the southeast corner is one of our, through the Municipal Comprehensive Review applicants.
Yes. So he made that point about when you put in a development that has housing next to a commercial style area like that it could affect the operation of the commercial style area if there's complaints that come in. And that's my concern with this entire area, because we're getting very heavy into the housing in this area. And I agree with you, Mr. Mayor, like it's small parcels, and I'm not really opposed to having the housing there on top of it. It's open air. It's dead zone. Do something with it. Great. Not opposed to that. I am protecting my existing businesses. That's my job. I'm supposed to do that. So what's going to protect that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So as I mentioned, there was a land use compatibility study that was done in support of the application. That's actually required under the provincial policy that applies to removing employment lands. And through that land use compatibility study, they explore air and noise impacts from surrounding developments on residential development and vice versa. So they make recommendations on the residential proposal for screening, for noise, window placements, all sorts of mitigation measures that might be required. In this case, there was no concern for compatibility. As the mayor had mentioned, majority of the employment uses in the surrounding area are warehouses, and they don't have the air and noise emittance that you would typically see in other employment areas. And as a result, the mitigation measures as part of the proposed development to introduce residential development are rather minor and rather typical, frankly, of tall buildings, like location or height of screening areas, window openings, window ratings for closed windows. Those sorts of mitigation measures will all be incorporated into the residential development.
Thank you. That's exactly what I needed to hear, because I don't want to hear after the fact that we're getting complaints from the building that you're building from the tenants, and now my existing businesses have to shut down operations at certain hours because of it. So that's what I needed to hear from you. That's exactly. Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Mayor, but that's what I needed to hear.
No,
Do you
no
wanna
problem.
add
I was just going to add that the residential is on top of the podium, which is 6 floors. So it's not on the same plane. It's, so that limits the sound as well.
It will, but to the west, we have operations of UPS that have trucks that back up at all hours, day and night, and there's loud sounds from the backing up motions. And, sometimes there's complaints coming from residents of Ward 1 because of it. And it's just across the street. And when I just want to make sure that that's, not going to be an issue and preclude or change the operation hours of my existing Ward 2 businesses. So I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. And not seeing anybody else in the speaker's box, Mr. Tarazenko, thank you for your presentation today. The bylaws are at the end of the agenda for the OPA ZBA. So
Thank you very much. Okay.
Let me just get back to my agenda. That concludes our delegations presentations and that section. Nothing correspondence, standing committee reports. So we have the Community Affairs Planning Committee report. Let me just get to my resolutions here. There it is. So what I've done in the past is just kind of, Councillor Lee and Councillor Henry, did you want to speak again?
No, I just wanted to pull Cap to ask a question to the director.
That was my next question. So which item would you like to pull?
Community Affairs and Planning, please.
Oh, Cap. Okay, we're not on that yet. Oh, hold on.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yes, which items in the Cap report did you want to pull?
What the delegate was pulling. The
okay, hold
was
on.
that the growth management study? Was that one? The 5.2.
That was 5.2. So you want to pull 5.2?
Please and thank you.
Okay, Councillor Henry, same.
I want to pull 7.2 GGC. I want to pull item, I believe it's 4.7. It's regarding St. Francis rebranding.
Do you have a motion to that effect on the agenda?
I do.
Okay.
I have a motion that I sent this morning, an amendment, not a motion, an
correct.
amendment.
Okay.
And my seconder is Councillor Tyler Moore.
Okay, so let's deal with these then. On item 4.7, please go ahead. And I assume the clerk has your motion?
They should, yes.
Okay.
Did they pull
I
that
saw
up on the
I saw the
screen?
email.
Oh, good, excellent. Okay, so it says that if at any point the cross is to be removed from the steeple and that it be donated to St. Francis de Sales Catholic Church or the Catholic Church, or if no interested party from the Catholic Church is identified, that the cross may be preserved in the Ajax archives. So basically what we're saying is we'd like the opportunity for it to be given back to the church first. If that should happen, then it be removed. And I think that's a long way off, but I want to put that precautionary amendment in place. And that's it. If Councillor Tyler Moore wants to speak to it.
Oops, sorry, I gotta press a button. Yeah, are you finished, Councillor Henry?
I am. Thank you.
Okay, log off, please. I'll go to Councillor Tyler Moore as the seconder, then Councillor Lee.
Thank you, Worship, and thank you for letting me in. Yes, as the seconder, I echo the firster's comments, and if something was to happen, yes, it would be nice to have the conversation with the Catholic Church to see if they want the cross. So just reanimating, and thank you for letting me in.
Okay, Councillor Lee.
Thank you, Chair. And I think we have to move this first before we can amend it. So I'll happily move the motion. I guess my question is, and unfortunately we couldn't reach the director at the time. So I'm wondering, is there a plan to remove the cross? And then is there a significant cost to removing the cross?
Director Vita?
Yeah, through the chair to Regional Councillor Lee, no specific plan at this point to remove the cross. We included references to the cross in the report, similar to the references of the St. Francis name, just as commentary that it denotes a certain affiliation with the church, which is something that we are wanting to create some separation moving forward. But absolutely, if there should be any removal moving forward, we would bring that proposal to council before advancing.
Thank you. And then just a question to the mover or seconder. When it says the Catholic Church, does that mean like the Vatican? Is that who we're sending this cross to? Like
I believe
it's
it's St. Francis de Sales Church up the road, but let's bring the mover back in to answer that question. There we go. We'll have a party. We got everybody here.
Thank you. So staff put that as vague terminology so that they have the ability to work with who they need to within the Catholic side. And the intention is to go back to St. Francis itself. But as we know, there's an Archdiocese of Toronto. We have to go back through the proper Catholic channel. And we left that language a little vague so that staff have the ability to move within the Catholic system and go to who they need to.
Got it. Okay, appreciate it. Thank you, Chair.
And if I'm live here, I would ask Mr. Vita, Director Vita, if you could include the Heritage Advisory Committee if there's any changes to the physical building, please and thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, CC them. Thank you.
Okay. Not seeing anyone else in the speaker's box. Councillor Henry, you can log off. Councillor Lee was correct, so I'll have them. Let me bring up the resolution here. Moved by Councillor Lee, seconded by Councillor Henry, that the recommendations of the Community Affairs and Planning Committee meeting of May 4th, 2026 be adopted. It's on the floor. Item 4.7 has been pulled. We have a motion moved and seconded. Does that satisfy?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, just to clarify, we're on the GGC report, correct?
We're on the CAP report. Did I mess up and go on the GGC report?
Yeah, so
Okay.
we're going to do GGC first, I believe, and then we'll go back to CAP.
All right, hold on. Let me go down to the next one. I said CAP, but they snuck in the GGC on me. Okay, standing committee reports. General Government Committee, May 11, 2026, moved by Councillor Lee, second by Councillor Henry, that the recommendations from the GGC meeting of May 11th be adopted. Item 4.7 has been pulled. The amendment is on the floor. Any further discussion? Councillor Henry, did you have anything?
Sorry,
to add?
Mr. Mayor, I think there's been an error. So I was moving it and Councillor Tyler Morin was seconding it. That's
Right.
been worked out with the
I'm
clerk
talking
there, too.
about the report as a whole. You're moving the amendment and Councillor Tyler Morin is seconding the amendment. You and
Got
Councillor
it.
Lee are moving the GDC report as a whole.
Got it. Thank
I'm
you.
going by ward. That's what I do. Okay, anything further on this? Okay, please open the vote on the amendment. Okay, and that carries. Moving on to the next item, item 7.2, is that also GGC?
Yes, so now we just need to vote on the main motion as amended for 7.2.
Right, but we haven't, what is 7.2 is pulled for discussion.
I believe that's what the discussion just was. Councillor Sterling Lee has also pulled 7.1, Community Affairs and Planning, but that's for a separate item.
Okay, very good. So that's the only amendment, that's the only pull on item 7.2 on GGC.
Correct.
Okay, on the main motion as amended, please. Okay, and that carries. Now let's just go back to item 7.1, Standing Committee Reports, Community Affairs and Planning Committee, May 4, 2026. I'm going to go by ward again. Moved by Councillor Crawford, second by Councillor Tyler Moran, that the recommendations of the Community Affairs and Planning Committee meeting on May 4th be adopted. Any polls? Councillor Lee, item 5.2. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. And this is just to the Director of Finance. So, I mean, the question was brought up that in 2023, we had a projected levy of 1%. It's now being suggested at 2%. You know, I think there's a combination of we have now engaged a consultant and, you know, casino revenues as well as Elexcon revenues. But I was wondering if you can give a more definitive answer than what I was able to provide.
Through the chair to Regional Councillor Lee. Yes, you were correct in the reduction in the Casino Ajax and Elexcon is part of that. The additional impact is also due to having a better understanding of our asset management needs going forward. We have, since that time, we had also completed the asset management plan and identified our the full gamut of the assets and the needs over time, which resulted in better costing and understanding of what are those needs, not only in the short term but also the long term. So that is probably the bigger piece of why we need the infrastructure levy.
So if I were to just accurately just rephrase, based on the report in front of us right now, this is the most accurate estimation that we have based on all the information provided, correct?
That is correct. It's based on the most recent knowledge and information we have, yes.
Okay, appreciate that answer. Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
You're welcome. I would just add, and Ms. Mapham, please correct me if I'm wrong, also provincial legislation, which has changed quite a bit in the way we receive certain funding like DCs, and make us need to reevaluate based on these new changing facts. Is that accurate?
Through the mayor, that the changes in legislation does impact our debt levels, definitely. The infrastructure levy is primarily geared to our existing asset management base, but it does have an impact over time when we're renewing new assets that we do bring on board. But that will be beyond that 10-year.
That was one of the questions that was asked also, was to the debt levels that we're accumulating. You also asked about the suggestion on investment policy succession. I would suggest that there isn't one. This is a policy that we have adopted as a council, and the policy will just continue.
That is correct, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Lee, was there anything further on this? You didn't have a motion, you just wanted to ask a question? Before I move on to the other speakers? Okay, I'll assume you took yourself off the list. That's a yes. Councillor Tyler Moran, you had a question when the delegation was here. Now is the appropriate time to ask it.
Correct. You've just answered my first question. My question is to the Director of Finance. Can you confirm that we will be continuing the strategy, the investment strategies that we've been doing for the last 3 or 4 years moving forward? Can you just speak to that a little bit and what that might look like? Thank you.
Through the chair to Councillor Tyler Moran, yes, we operate under the council approved policy. Therefore, we will continue utilizing the direction that council approved going forward. Unless council wishes to make changes to our policy, we are going to continue as we have been doing, yes.
Okay, and that information that you receive for strategic information regarding what to invest in, the most for our money, etc., that comes from in-house, or is there always an option if we needed to bring in more experts? Is that an option if that is something we want to look at?
Through the chair to Councillor Tyler Moran, so we do work with One Investment to provide some of that guidance. You know, they are professionals in investment, so we are bound by the Municipal Act as well as our policy. There is always an option to bring in additional guidance on an as-needed basis, but at this time we are operating as lean as possible and you know, trying to get the best return for the town as well.
Thank you very much for those answers. Thank you, Chair, or Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome. Councillor Crawford, you're next.
Thank you. My question is about if we had not reduced the infrastructure levy from 2% to 1% in this past budget, the idea was that that was supposed to be coming down on an annual basis, correct? It was it was front-ended loaded at 2% for the 2 years and then gradually coming down. Is that correct? That was the intent?
So through the chair, based on the information that we had at the time, and the analysis we had done back in 2023 when we brought forward that recommendation, we didn't have that full information of what that asset management plan looked like. We made some assumptions at that time. We had not experienced the reductions in revenue. So at that time, yes, the intent was to build up the infrastructure levy by 2% for a number of years and then see where we are at to start reducing it. Unfortunately, economic conditions and a number of other revenue reductions impacted some of those projections. And that's why we do update our financial sustainability plan on a periodic basis, just to determine where we're at from a reporting perspective. And we will come back to council likely in another 5 years, with potential revisions based on what we've experienced over time.
So
as well as
until
basis,
until the new council is established in 2027, everything stays as put. I think that's what I heard you say to Councillor Tyler Morin, correct?
Through the chair to Regional Councillor Crawford, I'm not sure exactly if you're referring to anything in particular.
I just mean the 1%.
Overall,
yeah.
At this point, I did explain in the last meeting that we will be recommending a 2% infrastructure levy in line with the updated information. That is what is needed, but it will be up to council and the new mayor to move forward with those amendments at that time.
So can you explain to me, so it's been suggested that not everybody knew we had a 2% infrastructure levy. I remember quite specifically us talking about this. How is it broken out on the tax bill? Is it broken out into a 2% or is it just a 1%? How is it explained?
Through the chair, it is not broken out as a separate levy on the tax bill. It is part of the total tax increase that is communicated to residents and businesses.
Because I believe we do that social media wise, correct? I know I've seen it split out a bit. It's social media, right? So is there a way of doing that on the tax bill, or is the tax bill and we can't change it for better transparency? We're not trying to hide anything. It's just when you don't see it, right?
Through the chair, we do have a limited number of items that we can separately identify on the tax bill. I don't think that this would be a good use of that additional line because it could be used for other purposes down the road. We could definitely take that back and take a look at it, but we do try to do a very good job at communicating the impacts of that out through our budget documents, through our presentations, on our website as well. If there is additional communication or reporting through social media that we can definitely engage our communication staff as well. I would rather take those options first and then explore an alternate if need be.
Yeah, the issue is that not everybody's on social media, right? And I know that that's what we're left with right now because we don't have a local newspaper, but I think we miss a large number of people when we don't, because not everybody likes social media. But anyway, I understand our limitations. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just Councillor Crawford as a follow-up. I think we do a good job during the budget process for those that watch it. When we say, our base budget pressures are say 2.5%, and then we're adding the 2% for infrastructure, so it's 4.5%, and then we don't come out and say 2.5. Here, I'll let you back in because I see you're back in the speaker's box. But I think we do a good job with that, and then putting out what the actual impact and then the blended rate are. You're correct. We don't have a newspaper. I don't know if we could do something like an insert in the tax bill, maybe a little better way of messaging that out to residents. But I think during the meetings we do, and especially when the amendment came to reduce it, we had a pretty thorough discussion and debate. And I know that was reported on social media by someone that was here today.
I'm not saying we don't do a good job. I'm always shocked at. It feels like we're talking from the rooftop, and I'm always surprised when people don't know. I know people are busy, so I just think if we can be, like you said, maybe it is a separate insert in the tax bill where it is actually broken out and explained. So I'm not suggesting we didn't do a good job because I know I heard it over and over again.
No, I'm just saying we could do better.
yeah, I'm incredibly engaged in it. So, you know, that my engagement is certainly not everybody's engagement. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Ms. Mepham, any suggestions on how we could improve the process?
We'll definitely take that back. I think maybe communicating it clearer in the tax insert, as you suggested, is definitely something we can take back. I believe it is already in there, but we can take a look and just make sure that it is a bit more prominent, perhaps. And we'll implement. We'll work with our communications team as well for the next budget cycle to see what we could do.
Okay, thank you. Not seeing anybody else in the speakers box. We didn't have any amendments, so I'll just go back to the resolution. This was moved by Councillor Crawford, second by Councillor Tyler Moore. That the recommendations of the Community Affairs and Planning Committee meeting of May 4th be adopted. Those in favor? And that carries. Next item on the agenda, we've done standing committee reports. Departmental reports, council chambers, retrofit, Deputy CAO Cooper. You have the floor.
Hi, thank you. So our report's in the agenda. It was authored by Ms. Grossi, so we're happy to answer any questions that you have for us today. I guess what it boils down to, I think, is we're prepared to move forward at this point with repairing the council chambers. We just need to understand from council their desires in terms of whether the preference is for sort of a like-for-like replacement versus a retrofit, which is proposed in the report. So we're happy to take any questions that you have. Thank you.
Sorry, I gotta press my button first. First person in the speakers list, Councillor Tyler Moore.
Thank you, Worship. My question is this: can we make sure when this is all done that the clerk's desk will be beside the chair's desk so that the regular conversations and what we see in most council chambers will be done? That's my first question.
So through you, Mr. Chair, yes, if we advance with the recommendation that staff has put forward today, the rendering that's included in this report would include the clerk's chair beside the chair.
Okay, that's number one. Number two, as per the report, can you just speak about when it'll all be done and shiny and clean?
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Chair, our goal is to have it done closer to the end of the year, beginning of the next term of council. At this point, we are waiting for council direction on the next steps. So after today's meeting, we'll be able to have those conversations around design and the insurance and some of the construction timelines as well. And then we'll have a better idea of what that timeline looks like.
Yeah, I'm personally very sensitive to the fact that it's going to be tight. It's going to be very tight to get it ready for next term council. Thank you so much. Those are my questions at this time.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Crawford.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm good with. Oh, sorry. I'm good with the whole plan as long as we are not paying more out of our own budget. As long as it's all covered under insurance, then I have no issue with the recommendations. And that's what we're thinking, right?
No. So through you, Mr. Chair, recommendation number 2 asks that council authorizes the allocation of necessary funds up to $175,000 beyond the value of insurance claim. The conversations that we've had with the insurance pool preliminarily have let us know that they would only cover full cost if we went like for like replacement. So if we went back to exactly the way that Chambers was prior to the incident. If we want to move forward with this new layout and a retrofit of council chambers, then we are asking council for the approval of the additional funds, which would come from our building maintenance reserve.
And are we confident that that is all that will be asked?
Yes, there are preliminary conversations. We do feel confident that that will cover the design and the work that we're looking at. We will still be using as much insurance as much of the insurance claim as we can for anything that is like for like, or anything, any services and things like that that have been covered through the insurance claim so far. These are preliminary numbers through some estimating and things like that, but we do feel fairly confident with the number that we're putting forward to council today.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Henry, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So to the clerk, let's talk for a minute about what we looked at last year, where we are now. So originally, when we looked at a retrofit for council chambers, what was the cost of that? Was
In
it three
September of
something?
2025, we were looking at about 265, I believe.
265. Okay, and now you're telling us with a retrofit, we're looking at how much?
So the report outlines that we are looking closer to 300,000, and that would be including the design work along with some of the materials and some of the technology that was damaged. The retrofit that we're putting forward to council today includes what you're referencing from the September 2025 report, along with some technology upgrades, as we did not plan on upgrading some of the technology in the previous report. But now with the damage that we've had to the technology, there is some that needs to be upgraded or replaced.
So in 2025, you were asking us for 265,000-ish. And now you're asking us for an additional how much? 100, aside from the insurance money, what's the additional amount? 175?
Correct, yes.
Councillor Henry, I believe I
175,
took the other amount out of the budget as one of the amendments in that budget year. So that never existed. I don't even think that got to council.
No, it did not.
I thought it was part of the report. I remember seeing it.
If I could jump in, Mr. Chair, to maybe clarify, it was a council's within council's strategic plan, there was an item that asked staff to examine a possible retrofit of the council chambers. And in response to that strategic plan item, we brought forward a report which detailed the potential for a retrofit, which was costed at approximately $265,000. Staff did not proceed or recommend proceeding with that. We didn't feel at the time that it was a priority given all the other budget pressures. And so it was never included in the budget, and it was never recommended to council that we proceed with that. However, with the flood and the damage that's occurred, we now feel that it makes sense to use this opportunity to reorient the seating in a way that would make more sense for council.
Thank you. So numbers, going back to numbers, we were at 265-ish recommended, didn't happen. Nobody voted in favor of it. Moved on with our lives. Flood occurred. Now you're saying leg for leg, we get back exactly what we had, no upgrades, nothing, or we go into the new plan and we put out 175,000-ish extra on top of what we're going to get back, and we get brand new shiny clerk where they should be.
So through you, Mr. Chair, just to reiterate what Deputy CAO Cooper said, in September 2025, we did not ask for any funding. That was just a report for information at that time. So at that time, we had estimated that a retrofit of the council chambers would be 265, which we did not request. So it did not go through the budget. And today we are requesting council to authorize 175,000 for this retrofit.
What's this look like on the tax bill?
I'll ask the Director of Finance if he wants to comment on that, but it is from our building maintenance reserve.
It'll be zero, Councillor Henry. It's from the reserve.
Through the chair, yes, it is coming through the reserve. It's funding that has been set aside for eventual building maintenance, which would have included, an eventual replacement of council chambers, probably many, a number of years in the future. But the funds would be used for this at this time from the building maintenance reserve.
Thanks. I thought that's what it meant, but we got to say it. We're public, we got to say it. People have to hear it, right? So it's a zero. So we needed to have that said. Okay, and with the actual design itself and the upgrades, from what I can see on page 39, everything looks similar to what you folks mentioned to us in 2025. I see the ramp going up on both sides, very accessibility friendly there. What I'm wondering, and I think I asked this question when the report came to council way back when, was about safety for councillors. Because right now, there's one way that you can go up onto the council floor. There's steps, there's a little rope kind of, I know it's a little rope, but it's kind of, giving us that little bit of distance and protection. is there anything put in place in case something was to go awry in the council chambers?
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Chair, I'll draw your attention to the rendering that you're referencing. So council, the CAO, and the clerk, you'll see are on a shaded platform. That platform is a raised floor as opposed to the rest of staff and members of the public. So by having the ramp accessible only to council, the CAO, and the clerk, and having the exit as you're used to at the back of the dais, along with the back hallway and the back entrance, that allows for a safe entry or exit if needed for members of council. And you are on a raised platform, so there is quite a bit of distance between where council would be seated and where a member of the public would be able to access.
Excellent. And as far as the seating goes, this is just a design question, but I noticed, like, because we're kind of closer together and more in a, you know, the top end of a horseshoe shape, does that affect how we are seeing folks in the chambers from a sightline perspective?
Through you, Mr. Chair, could you clarify the way that you see members of the public or the way members of the public can see you?
That I see members of the public.
Through you, Mr. Chair.
Right now I have very clear sightlines.
It would still provide you a clear sight line because you are on that raised floor. So you would be above all of the staff that are sitting on the main level, I'll call it, directly below council. So you would have a straight sight line to staff, which are in front of you, and then just past them to members of the public who are in the gallery.
Okay, thank you. I think that, you know, at the time, it wasn't the time to make the changes, but since this has occurred, and we have this opportunity, why would we put it back together broken if we could put it back together fixed? That doesn't really make sense. It's just more work down the road. So the clerk needs to be closer to the chair. That's just a given. So thank you.
Okay. Councillor Lee, you are next.
Thank you, Chair. I'm less concerned about the aesthetic changes as I am the practical ones. Will the flood, if another flooding situation happens, are we prepared for this both on our level and the archive level?
So through you, Mr. Chair, yes, we are working with building maintenance staff to ensure that the way that this new room is constructed, that we have a better handle on some of the fire suppression system, and we are also looking at our record storage underneath council chambers to ensure that all of that has the appropriate storage and safekeepings that we can. I would also like to highlight that the town is very aggressively working on a digitization strategy and does digitize a large amount of records annually, and we continue to go on that path to ensure that we have copies and appropriate record keeping for all of the town's official records.
And based on our, I guess, like our breakdown and, you know, site plan, for lack of a better phrase, there's like, there's no pipe issues, like in terms of moving pipes or electricity or anything like that. Like there's no fictitious thing we didn't see before all these years and it's there now.
Through you, Mr. Chair, not that I am aware of. Director Meredith, I believe, is online if he wants to provide anything else from a facility maintenance perspective, but nothing that I'm aware of.
I'll just conclude with this. I'm ultimately glad we didn't do the renovations when it was presented to us previously, because then we might be encountering this on a higher scale then. So I guess timing is everything. And I think right now is the perfect time to, you know, invest in, in a sense, what is the leadership of the town. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Councillor Bauer, you are next.
Thank you, Mayor Collier. Good afternoon, Ms. Grassi. Thank you for the report. So does this claim, how will it impact, or do we know yet how it will impact our renewal rate?
So through you, Mr. Chair, we don't have details on that yet as we haven't gone through the full insurance claim. We're currently waiting for this direction from council to understand what the insurance claim will look like, what the amounts will look like, what we're replacing, and what we are taking a payout on to be able to do some of this retrofit activity. Between myself and the Director of Finance, we can definitely provide a little bit of an update and some more insurance information once the claim has been completed in the future.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. And if council decided on a like-for-like replacement, where would you expect the retrofit feasibility, or where would you expect that to be pushed? Would that be years down the line then? Like if we're replacing it, or what do you see?
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Chair, at this point, council has not provided staff with any additional direction to look at a future retrofit. As Deputy CAO Cooper noted, we fulfilled the strategic priority late last year by providing a report to council on this option. So at this point, if council was to move forward with a like for like, staff would not bring forward any type of retrofit or renovation unless council asked us to do so.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Those were my questions, Mayor Collier.
Okay. Councillor Henry, you've already spoken. I was quite lenient. You went to about 8 minutes on your first one, so please be brief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A quick question with regards to insurance. I did forget to ask. Were we penalized because we didn't discover the flood till hours after it happened? I'm assuming we weren't alerted by a system. Was there a penalization with our insurance for that, or would you know?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we currently do not have much information on the claim as it's still an ongoing claim, but once the claim has been concluded, we can look at providing additional information. Right now, it's an open insurance claim, and we're currently going through what our options are and what the payout would look like.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that concludes the speakers list. We have the resolutions. Based on my rotation, I'm at Ward 3, so speak up if you don't want to move or second this. CSD 2026-14, Council Chambers retrofit, moved by Councillor Dye, second by Councillor Bauer. That staff be authorized to proceed with the retrofit of Council Chambers as illustrated in attachment 1, and 2, that Council authorize the allocation of the necessary funds to implement the retrofit to an upset limit of $175,000 above and beyond the value of the insurance claim to be funded from the Building Maintenance Reserve. Please open the vote. All right, that carries unanimously. Get back to our agenda. Are there any regional, wait a minute, let me make sure we're in the right spot. Is there any regional council reports? Councillor Crawford.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is just a quick update from Transit around. Seems to be getting more legs on unified fares across the GTA and Hamilton. The province is looking at adopting a single unified fare structure. So, in and of itself, it sounds like a good thing for residents, and it probably would be, except for that many of our individual transit systems have a budget that's based on the fare structure permanently. So depending on where that goes, if it goes down, then there's obviously a gap. So we are working with all the different agencies to ensure that if a gap should happen in this one fare idea, that will be made whole. So we'll see about that. I don't think we've actually seen being made whole yet. The other, I'm assuming, Mayor Collier, you'll be talking about the special committee of the whole meeting. Are you still there? Do you want to talk about the special committee of a whole meeting that we had?
I was going to, and I was going to speak to the subsequent finance meeting decision about the 10-year police capital budget only, but you're on finance, so feel free to speak about that
so
in general.
Okay. So we had the special committee of the whole meeting on Friday last week, where we were presented the presentation of the police DRPS 10-year capital plan, basically. And so from that meeting, it was then moved to finance, which was Tuesday of last week. And Chair Henry moved a motion to have the entire project or capital plan moved to the 2027 budget. So that's where we are today. Next week is always a different, another animal. So we'll have to see where it goes from there. But those are the two items that I would be responsible for.
Okay, not seeing anybody else. I will speak a little bit more about the police side of things. So yeah, first of all, Durham Regional Police was directed by Regional Council in April of 2025, I believe it was, about a year ago. Don't hold me to the date, it could be a little bit different, but it was about a year ago, to develop our 10-year capital forecast, just like Transit has, which is approved by Regional Council, just like EMS has, just like Health and Social Services have. So this is a 10-year lookout of capital projects, and none of the capital projects in ours are new. They've been on the books for many years, but this was just direction from council to put it all in one comprehensive package and present it so they could approve it. So we didn't have to keep coming back to finance for a one-off every single time, like we did for the land at 1401 Harwood that I can talk about now for our new police station in Ajax. Every time police wanted to do something, we have to come to Regional Council, hat in hand, and beg at a finance meeting for one-off approvals, rather than have an approved 10-year capital plan so we can budget accordingly, so the region can budget accordingly, so there's some predictability and some continuity and some stability. So we brought this back, and this was supposed to have come to Regional Council in September. Because of one thing or another, the treasurer resigning, then budget, then this and that, it kept getting kicked down the road again and again. And it finally came to Regional Council, not this past Friday, the Friday before. We got the agenda less than maybe 12 hours before the meeting. So not a lot of time to review a pretty thick agenda. And it was a lengthy meeting where we went through all this. That was an education session. Then on the Tuesday, as you mentioned, it came to finance. I was absolutely blindsided when the regional chair walked on a motion to defer a $1.1 billion 10-year capital forecast that Regional Council had asked for and just punted it down the road to the 2027 budget, completely bypassing the May 27 council meeting where every member of council would have had an opportunity to review and have their say, completely and undemocratically bypass them on a vote of 4 members of the finance committee, including the regional chair, with 1 absent, and you and Mayor Ash from Pickering voting no against the deferral motion. As well as several visitors, including myself, speaking to how undemocratic it was. So this is going to come back to Regional Council on May 27th. I am going to be, there is a provision in the procedural bylaw for the region where a decision of finance can basically be removed from finance. I don't think it's ever been used before, but it's there and we found it, and can be brought directly to Regional Council. And it only requires a simple majority, not a 2/3 vote for reconsideration. So I'm going to be bringing that, and hopefully we can right this wrong and finally address this and not keep putting things off. The reason why the budget is so high is because these things have been put off since 2007. That's the earliest we could find. The talk of, even before that, the talk of regional headquarters was even before that. But the simple fact that the region has chosen to keep kicking these significant infrastructure projects down the road year after year, decade after decade, is a reason why our 10-year capital budget is so high. And I'll point out again, lower than some of the other departments, but still significant. But delaying doesn't make things any cheaper, as we all know. It just keeps getting worse and worse. I will also point out that I'm going to be sharing with Regional Council on the 27th or before the charter that was signed between the Region of Durham, CAO, and Chair. I don't know if the Chair signed it. The CAO signed it, and our Chief signed it, which basically said we were going into this jointly, collaboratively, and we would agree on the recommendations coming forward to Council. That did not happen. We did not agree to the recommendation that came to Council of receive for information, or to take sections 4 or 5 of our capital budget and hide them in the back in the appendix. Because what you saw at Finance on the Tuesday was not the report that was in front of the entire Council on the Friday before. So there's a number of things going on here. I expect the meeting on the 27th to be probably quite long. And I'm not going to probably make a lot of friends at that meeting, but we need to get this done. I'm happy to answer any questions. Councillor Henry, I see you in the speaker's box.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for that updated information for those of us who do not sit on regional council. Much appreciated. I wanted to ask you, since you brought up police capital budget infrastructure being kicked down the road, what does that look like for the Curtis site that was burnt to the ground? Has that been placed in this budget, or was it replaced through insurance?
That's not being replaced. There was a new station already being built and the Center for Forensic Excellence being built in Clarington. Those are already ongoing. Those are already approved capital projects with the region of Durham.
So there was no replacement of the facility in Curtis?
No, they were already
So
being
in that
replaced.
case-
It's mostly a storage facility for court records.
Yes, yes, and the Hummer and other equipment that they had. I
Yeah,
used to deliver there, so I know.
some equipment, yes.
Yes, there was a lot of equipment there. So what happens to that property? What happens to the money from the insurance for that property and went back into capital projects?
We don't get that. So the way properties work, and this is the Municipal Act, the way properties work for police departments across Ontario is we don't own any of our buildings or our facilities. The region owns them all. The region owns our helicopter. The region owns all of those capital assets. So, and I'll use the Collision Reporting Center across the road from 605 Roslyn Road, regional headquarters, as the example. That's the Durham Regional Police Collision Reporting Center. You get in an accident, you go there to report it. That building we've owned and operated, well, we don't own it, the region owns it, but we've operated it. All of the costing for the carrying charges, interest payments, overhead, maintenance, repair, everything comes in our budget. However, we don't own it. So any equity built up in that building, let's say that building is a $15 million building. Okay, and we paid for it over 15 or 20 years. That's not an asset for DRPS. What happens is when the region comes along and takes that building away, which they did, because they wanted to use it for social services, we don't get a $15 million credit that we can now use to apply to another building, even though we paid the money. The region takes that money and we start at zero, and 100% of the operating, like the mortgage and interest and everything, goes back onto our budget. It's a bit of an unfair system. I've been lobbying the regional chair and the CAO to give us some sort of accounting mechanism, some sort of credit, so we don't look like the bad guy every time we miss one building. Like the station in downtown Oshawa, it was built in 1972. It has been outgrown long time ago. It's got mold issues. It's got all kinds of issues. We've received a letter from the police association basically saying it's not safe to work in some areas. That building requires about a $45 million retrofit, but it's not in the right place. Even if we retrofit it, it's still too small and doesn't meet our needs. So when that building is sold,
So hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Something you're saying here is not making
we'll
sense.
get zero for that.
Are you saying that over time you have basically paid for this building plus the building
Yeah.
was taken away from you and you
Yes.
get no credit for it,
Yes,
and now it's given to another fraction within the same government umbrella?
exactly.
Are they being charged rent for that?
No, no, that's exactly how it works. Which is why I've been trying to have it changed in some way unsuccessfully.
That makes no sense whatsoever.
That
is so
the
unfair.
system that we work in. Think about this. So pre-2005, there was talk of a regional headquarters for policing. The council of the day made the decision that the police would occupy the third floor of regional headquarters. We have spent since 2005 approximately $30 million in rent. Our rent in that space has doubled, but our footprint, the 30,000 square feet that we had, has been reduced over time for other regional uses. So we've slowly been pushed out of certain spaces. That's $30 million that would have paid for a new building. but we've paid it in rent to the
30
region.
million over what period of time?
Since 2005. 21 years.
Since 2005. And
It's gone from about 1.2 million a year to
other-
about 2.4 million a year.
And how many other umbrellas, pieces, departments under this umbrella have to pay rent like you do?
Everybody. So if you look through the regional budget, every department, whether it's finance on whatever floor they're on, or whether it's whoever, they have a portion of the expenses for the Region of Durham building allocated to their budgets.
But had you bought a building back in 2005, you would have saved millions of dollars over time. Yes?
I'm not going to disagree with you on this subject.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I asked this question because that's the craziest thing I ever heard. All right. Thank
Welcome
you.
to the region. Councillor Tyler Moore.
Thank you, Worship. For those listening, the money we are speaking of is for capital cost, correct? The big
Yeah, and thank you. I think I know where you're going with this. Correct me if I'm wrong. That misleading article that was put out about a week and a half ago saying that if our capital budget was approved, it was going to incur a 10% increase to regional taxes. Is that where you're going?
I am. I have a subsequent question. Maybe I can ask it now and tie it all in. The operating cost of policing is directly tied to the Community Safety and Policing Act as per the province, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Those are my two questions.
Adequate and effective policing.
Right. Sorry, my wording's a bit off. But there's a threshold that has to be met, which costs a lot of money within itself on the operating side before we get to the yeah. So the 10% was where I was going. If you want to comment.
So let me close the loop on that, Councillor, because that was very misleading. I did some comments online. Some people listen, some people just choose not to. But I disagreed with that. That they're talking about the region as a whole, not just Durham Regional Police. So if the Durham Regional Police 10-year capital budget was approved and fully implemented over the next 10 years, including our operating and capital, the police budget as a whole would account for a 4.62% tax increase for Durham residents. Now remember, the Durham region in Ajax, about 35% of your taxes stays here. That's what we control. 15% or whatever it is, and Ms. Mepham can probably correct me if I'm wrong, I might be off a percentage or two, goes to the province for schooling, for education. And the other 55%, 10%, the other 55% goes to the region of Durham. So it's 4.62% of 55%, which is about 2.5%. So the actual impact of our budget entirely, operating and capital, if approved and fully implemented, would be 2.5-ish, 2.51 or 2%. That's the real story, not that we're going to cause a 10% increase to Durham taxpayers.
I appreciate the clarity. Thank you.
Not seeing any other questions in the chat box. We have, let me go back to the agenda. So where were we? We're Ward 2. Moved by Councillor Henry, second by Councillor Lee, that the Regional Council's reports of May 19th, 2026 be received for information. Please open the vote. That carries. Next, business arising from notice of motion. Item 10.1, reviewing the Ajax municipal flag raising policy, moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Lee. Before I start, to the clerk, I provided you with an amendment. It was pointed out to me that what we had in the actual motion was left a little bit of an area for interpretation. So I sent you the wording. Councillor Lee as a seconder is reviewed. And I'll just read the therefores. Therefore, the council directs equity, diversity, and inclusion staff to amend the flag raising request policy to exclude the flying of flags representing foreign nationals, perceived foreign nationals, and coalitions of foreign nations effective September 1st, 2026. That's the main one. The others are updating community consultation and collaboration with relevant departments to determine the continuation and curation of the town-hosted flag-raising ceremonies that reflect the shared values of Ajax communities, and conduct a comprehensive policy review and report back to council no later than the first quarter of 2027, with a community recognition program proposed to address the flag-raising policy and Ajax sign commemorating lighting policy. Proclamations, requests, and community notifications. Sorry, it's really small. It's hard for me to read on the screen. I'll just speak to it really quickly. And this comes out of, and several other, I'll use two larger ones, Mississauga and Toronto, have approved a similar policy. I got to be really careful not to misspeak here. We live in a world where we've got a lot of conflicts outside of Canada that we have no control over. And we have a very diverse community here in Ajax, about 65%, and this applies to many areas in the province. And we don't want conflicts in other areas to affect how we treat each other here. And occasionally, by raising flags of some of these areas, it causes hurt to some of our residents here. It causes a lot of feelings. And it also can be perceived that we are supporting certain groups over another in these world conflicts. And very honestly, I don't want any part of that. We've raised a number of flags just in the last year. And I have significant feedback from residents on both sides about how this is affecting them, how it potentially is moving us back as far as relations and some of the good work we've done to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I really don't see the benefit to this. And that's why I brought this motion for consideration today. Thank you, Councillor Lee, for seconding this. And I would like to ask for council support and a recorded vote, please. Councillor Lee, as the seconder.
Thank you, Chair. So when this was first proposed from the Ajax point of view, I think my instinct was to oppose it, using such phrases like, our diversity is our strength and Ajax is racialized, and we should be embracing that, our differences, because that's what kind of bridges the gap. Unfortunately, as the mayor's kind of alluded to, there are certain people, groups who are now using these flag raisings, something that is meant to kind of bring light to the contributions and peoples of various nations, and now extremely politicizing it to the point where social media posts have to be taken down, and it's politicizing it to a point where, quite frankly, I'm uncomfortable, not just for council and those who go to certain flag raisings and don't, but also our own internal staff who are, this wasn't what the gig was, right? And by no means are we saying community groups cannot celebrate their nationality. Just there won't be a flag raising for it. And as a council member who's very proud of the DEI work I've done over the past 7 years through this role, I understand maybe now is the time to put a hold on this and to re-examine it, to reach out to the community and find those consultations. I was very surprised, if I'm being very honest, of the amount of people who agreed with the idea of just removing them, because with the idea that the Canadian, Ontario, and Ajax flags are the only flags we should be flying. So again, we will still go to community events, the ones that we support, and that will not change. But in terms of flying a flag on town property, I absolutely agree. It's become way too politicized, way too burdensome on staff, and quite honestly on council at times, that it's taken the joy and the ideal, the initial ideal of the flag raising, and kind of twisted it to an area that I'm very uncomfortable with. So thank you for the mayor for bringing this forward. Point number 2 is very important. We are going to undertake community consultation. We are going to figure out what the path is going forward. But for now, as it's September 1st, let's stop them for now. We take a breath and we kind of reassess and go from there. So I also would appreciate council support on this motion. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Lee. I would just point out, some might ask why September 1st. There has already been some commitments made to certain groups over the summer. We're not going to go back on those. Those were properly submitted based on the the flag raising policy of the day, and fit in that, but this will be going forward as of September 1st. Councillor Crawford, you are next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess my only question would be, why can we not extend it to the end of the year and then start fresh January?
Is that to me?
Yeah, you're the mover, right?
I would have had it effective today, and that's what I wanted. But staff pointed out to me exactly what I just said, that we've already made some commitments and we don't want to be going back because the policy of today did allow some of the requests we've had. And those requests that we already have are over by September 1st, which is why we chose this date. I wouldn't be willing to keep it till the end of the year.
So we have no more requests past September 1st?
There are still other flag raisings. I'm not saying to stop.
No. I just mean for this specific group. That's all.
This is several groups, but yeah, this is for foreign national flags.
No, I think
This
my
is
question
not
is
any of the other groups, or am I misunderstanding? I see Yasmin has popped in. Let's see what the professionals have to say. Yasmin? Oh, she disappeared. Yasmin, please press your.
There she is. I think she's there now.
There you go. Yasmin, you have the floor. All right, we'll try this again. There you go. We can hear some background music. I know you're there. And you're gone. Wait a minute.
It's a fun system, isn't it?
Takes a little bit of getting used to.
Yeah. So yeah, we have
Sorry.
to
Through the chair, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yes. So right now, our policy is that requests cannot be made more than 3 months out, 90 days. And so the recommendation is approximately 90 days from today with a start time of September 1st. So we're just looking to align those practices together.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Councillor Henry?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'm good with the September, and I thank you for honoring the commitments of those that are scheduled for the summer. I think it's the right way to go about doing this. I was not in favor of this at the beginning, I will admit that. But there's been a lot of, I'm trying to find the right wording. There's been a lot of negativity towards our staff and perhaps in some aspects some abuse. And we got to look at everything. I know there's been some consultation with folks in the community and hopefully more coming forward and looking at how we can do this in a different way with different types of celebration that won't result in the abusive comments online and the abusive comments to our staff. So hopefully everyone's understanding the reason why we're doing this and knowing that we are still supporting a full and inclusive Ajax for all, Ajax for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Bauer. Uh-oh. There we go.
Thank you, Mayor Collier. Yes, I will admit I was not in support of this originally. The first time it came around or was discussed, I do appreciate the amendment that was made to 1A. which I can understand that. But I did have a question. Does this impact any of the postings that the town makes for foreign nations and celebrations on our social media channels? So Filipino Heritage Month, Greek Independence Day, anything celebrating, because I do want to stress that we do brag. I've heard every one of us talk about Ajax being the most racially diverse, culturally diverse municipality. And I don't want to take that pride of someone celebrating their culture or country of heritage. I don't want to take that away.
Through the chair to Councillor Bauer, if you can hear me. So that is certainly the intent is to continue any of the social media postings or recognitions that the town does on a monthly, weekly basis. That list that we have is maintained largely informed by the Canadian Centre for Diversity Institute, which provides us with a listing of significant dates that are recognized generally globally and also by the federal government, and then that list is updated on a regular basis as things are brought to the town's attention. So that will all continue. All social media posts will continue where appropriate.
Okay. And those social media posts will be, it's often the flag of the country. Those will continue that way?
So through the chair, yes, where there are designated dates that recognize Greek Independence Day, or as an example, or something like that, that is continued to be recognized and acknowledged by the federal government, that will continue on our social media, but will be a part of whatever comprehensive policy review that staff will be completing. The entirety of the protocols around how the town recognizes significant dates will be reviewed, but this motion today is specifically about flags.
Got it. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm satisfied with that answer. Thank you, Mayor Collier.
You're welcome. Councillor Dice, you are the last speaker.
Thank you. I just have a comment, if I may. And quite recently, I was at a flag raising ceremony, and I did get a very, very angry telephone call from a resident. And I have to say, nobody should be at the end of that type of language that was used, or the kind of hatred that I had in that phone call, and the assumption that I should know what's going on in different countries around the world when they have lived there and I have not. So, I would never want to take anything away from the different cultures in our community, but the hatred is there because there's conflict around the world, and it's getting very difficult and very stressful for many people. And I think the time has come where we do have to take that away from what's going on. We have to remove those flags, and we have to, focus on what goes on in our community. So for that reason, I do really support what we're suggesting here in this motion. So thank you.
Okay, Councillor Tyler Moore.
Very quickly, I just want to thank staff for dealing with this. I know there's been a lot of abuse that they've had to endure, and we do appreciate it. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you very much for that.
Okay. Seeing nobody else in the speakers list, to the clerk, please open the vote. And I did ask for a recorded vote. Thank you. That carries unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to our next item. Non-residential recreational membership fees, moved by Councillor Lee, second by Councillor Crawford. Councillor Lee, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. This should come to no surprise to many people on this council, but those people watching, that I 2 years ago we raised the price on a lot of our non-resident fees, and then it kind of came to my attention very recently from a resident that doesn't actually apply to a lot of our recreation programming costs. So I'm just going to read the resolution. Therefore be resolved that the Town of Ajax implement an additional fee of 15% on all recreation memberships ARC Performance Passes, PayGo 10 passes purchased by non-residents effective September 1st, 2026. Appreciate Director Vita and his team for accommodating so quickly, but a lot of people don't realize that our recreation costs, it's not full cost recovery in a sense. These are subsidized costs. And so what we have happening right now is residents of Ajax through their taxes are now subsidizing non-residents to use our facilities. And sure, if the program was in full, that's great, but we have programming such as our Aquafit, which is always full, our pickleball at ARC, which is always full. And this is just a matter of fairness and try to get that cost recovery. Don't get me wrong, Whitby has a new recreation facility being built as we speak. I'm sure we'll have other ones, but right now I firmly believe that between ACC, its renovations coming up, MCC and ARC, we have some of the best community centers and recreation centers in all of Durham. And so they should be provided to Ajax residents first at a discounted rate or at the subsidized rate, and then everyone else, if you want to use facilities, you are welcome to, but you're going to pay kind of the cost recovery price for that. So that's where we stand, and we're looking forward for council support. Thank you, Jared.
You're welcome. Councillor Crawford, I saw you in the speakers list as a seconder. Did you want to speak? Oh, there you are. Good.
Yeah, sorry, I keep cutting in and out of this meeting. Yeah, no, I really don't have anything more to add than I support this motion completely. We want to be able to service our own residents, and you know, as much as I think probably our attraction to having non-residents coming in is the price of it. So I support this 100%.
Okay. Seeing no one else on the speakers list, please open the vote. And that carries. The next item, supporting Ajax Pickering Road Watch community safety initiatives, moved by Councillor Henry, seconded by Councillor Tyler Moore. Councillor Henry, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is just upkeeping policy, if you will. As it stands right now, road watch signs are always put on the curb area because that's where they need to be seen. So folks will slow down. They're no good if they're in somebody's garden and they can't be seen. And as the bylaw states currently right now, they would have to be removed. So we went back, had a discussion with
To the clerk, did you need to do another roll call?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No roll call needed, but I would like for the record to show that item 10.3, supporting Ajax Pickering Road Watch Community Safety Initiative's motion today, did pass with a vote of 4-3, and the 3 members of council opposed are Mayor Collier, Regional Councillor Lee, and Regional Councillor Dies. Thank you.
Did you need us to do that vote again since it didn't register?
No, through you, Mr. Mayor, it did register on our system, but for the public record, we wanted to ensure that it was shown as a recorded vote through YouTube.
Okay. I was just going to correct one item through that debate anyway, and that is the partnership grant. I did confirm on the break that the $5,000 is a legacy commitment from the partnership, and it's for the ongoing operation of the Ajax Pickering Road Watch. It's not for purchase of the signs. Just to make that clarification. Moving on to the next item, we were just about to vote on, let me pull it up, on the 10-20-30 blowers temporary use bylaw. Was there anything further on that, Councillor Lee? Cue your mic if there is.
Sorry, I'm just here to say no. There's no point repeating myself, but just I just think it's a great opportunity for the community to use land that is currently not being actively used, and so and more importantly, for the town to try something it has not previously tried. Thank you, Chair.
I wasn't actually asking you to repeat. I was just asking if I missed anything, but thank you for the clarification. I have 2 others in the speakers list now. Councillor Henry, you've spoken this, I think, but go ahead.
No, I haven't. Sorry,
Oh.
everybody missed me and just continued on. So as
I'm
the
sure
seconder, I wanted to give you the opportunity to say that I supported the amendment, but nobody asked me. So, you know, there you go. All right.
Councillor Bauer.
Thank you, Mayor Collier. I did have a question. First of all, I love this idea and I congratulate the forward thinking of the property owners and the town for being amenable to try this out. I think it's great, especially for the residents who live nearby in Ward 2. So I just have a question about 1A to the mover, and where it says a period of 24 months with the ability for further extensions subject to council approval. And, you know, we talked about we want development to happen and not take so long. We want approvals, we want permits, we want shovels in the ground. So I just want to understand, is there a thought process of could this be used for delays in the process, and how could we ensure that it's not? And also, what if the extension, you know, for acceptable extension requests, would something like, you know, the cost of materials is just too high, or the cost of labor is just too high for us to proceed at this time? Would that be considered an acceptable reason for extension?
I'm not sure, and neither you or I will be here to make that decision, but I'm not aware of anything that would stop the council of the day from considering an extension if this language was not in the motion, but I'll ask the mover to answer your question.
Thank you.
Lee?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Bauer, for the question. I think there's 1,000 reasons, as we've learned over the past 7 years, of why developers don't necessarily build right away. I think through these mayor directives, which I believe covers this property, you know, we've made it as enticing as possible. But again, I'm using specifically 190 Westney because I remember after they presented, this was through one of our first MZOs, you know, I asked when their shovels going in the ground, they said, oh yeah, within a year. And now it's been 3 years, we're no further closer. I'm only envisioning a scenario where we don't extend, and then the land's just vacant, and then, you know, like nobody wins in that case. This language provides the council the time flexibility now to provide maybe an example. Maybe there's a reason I have not thought of, or maybe there's a perfectly rational reason, like you said, price of materials or anything like that, and it just gives the future council that flexibility to say, hey, it sounds like a reasonable ask, and great, we still want you to build, but maybe we'll extend you 6 months, maybe we'll send you 1 year. But by removing that, it just means that after 2 years, like, this project is done pending another full kind of like procedure bylaw or the bylaw change. So I just think it's just cleaner to provide an out to the future council to just have that flexibility in case something happens, which again, in every developer we've had, every full stop no one's hit their timelines. So let's give ourselves that flexibility to continue doing something unique and fun and benefit to the residents.
Okay, no, I appreciate that answer. Thank you very much. And you don't think that a developer could use this to slow the process down?
I think it's up to
I'm going to support this first of all, but I'm asking that question.
I think it's up to the council at the time to decide whether they feel any reasoning for delaying is valid or not. But if there is valid reason, then let's continue utilizing this land while we still can.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you.
That's my questions, Mayor Collier.
Okay. Seeing nobody else in the speakers list, let's open the vote. That carries unanimously. I believe that concludes all of the motions. There we go. Yes, it does. Moving on to bylaws. Oh, sorry. Hold on one sec. Let me just go back to my agenda. Okay. Yeah. Moving on to bylaws. We just did Ward 2. I think we were going to Ward 1 is next. Moved by Council. Shoot, hold on a second. Sorry, it's hard to juggle all these things. I need a minute just to find my place here on this other screen. There we go. Moved by Councillor Tyler Moore and second by Councillor Crawford, the bylaws 45-2026 to 47-2026 and 51-2026 be approved. If either the mover or the seconder has an issue, let me know. I'll put somebody else on. And this does not include the mayor's directive 1 for 60 blowers. These are just the other bylaws. Questions or comments? Hearing, seeing none, please open the vote. Okay, that carries. For the next one, which is the directive for 60 blowers, I'll put moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Lee, that bylaws 48-2026 and 50-2026 be approved. Questions or comments on the OPA and zoning bylaw amendment directives? Hearing, seeing none, please open the vote. And that carries unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Miss anything here? Is there any notice of motion by members of council? Okay, not seeing anyone. Any new business or announcements? Still not seeing anyone. Oh, there we go. That would shock me. Councillor Lee.
Thank you, Jerry. I was giving everyone else a chance first. Tomorrow is Asian Golden Ribbon Day. So this was something that originated in Canada. It's a grassroots campaign founded to stand in solidarity against the dramatic rise in anti-Asian racism, violence, and discrimination. We had passed a motion in support of this, I think, about 4 years ago to the day. So I just wanted to reinforce that. Coming up on Saturday is the first ever Madiba Awards. This is hosted by Cultural Expressions, and it's just a really cool way to support Black excellence within Durham region. So hopefully people will support that. Those are the two. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And still not seeing any other announcements. I feel like I'm missing something. Okay, here we go. Closed session. There is no closed session. confirming bylaw. We're under Ward 3, moved by Councillor Bauer, second by Councillor Dyes, that bylaw 52-2026 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Corporation of the Town of Ajax at its regular meeting held on May 19th, 2026 be approved. Those in favor? And that carries. And our final order of business for today, moved by Councillor Lee, second by Councillor Henry, that bylaw 52-2026 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the moved by Councillor Lee, second by Councillor Henry, that the May 19th, 2026 meeting of the Council of Town of Ajax be adjourned. Please open the vote. And that carries. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.